My name is Lisa Congdon. I'm an illustrator, a painter, and a collage artist, and I live and work in Portland, Oregon. I have not always seen myself as an artist. In fact, if you went back and asked my parents, like when I was a little kid, which of their children was most likely to become an artist, there are three of us. I would have been the third choice. I was sort of a tomboy, played outside a lot, not interested in art, never took an art class, even in high school. And then when I was in my 20s, I was in a relationship with someone who was an artist, and she made her living as a graphic designer. Being in that relationship was my introduction to art. Interestingly, when we broke up, I started taking art classes and, in the privacy of my own apartment, drawing and painting and making collage, and kind of fell in love with the process. My style is really like flat and graphic. And it's interesting because if you look at my older work, it very much, was something very different. I think when I started drawing and painting, I really wanted to learn to draw more realistically. I realized that what I was drawn to or more attracted to was like folk art and art from the mid-century. And I really wanted to kind of hone my style to be more reflective of those passions. My work often centers around themes of inclusion, liberation, mental health, social justice. Those are all things that I care deeply about. My work is really about like the lessons that I've learned in life and like how I've learned to show up as a person who has like a certain level of like radical joy, in the face of darkness. I came into art making at a time in my life when I was like at a low point, and I was, had been through a lot of pain and sort of moved through that pain making art, and really came to see the act of creating as super joyful. I remember like when I left my job to make art full time, I had this vision of myself like sitting at my work table and like drinking tea and painting and listening to NPR and just like feeling really relaxed and blissed out all of the time. And I realized like that was a total fantasy, right? Like the reality of needing to like hustle and get work and, make a living can often take a lot of the joy out of the art making process. I have so many things that I've learned in the last 20 years, but I think one of the most profound things is I wish I understood early on how important it is to be a whole person. I think for those of us who have like discovered art, whether it was when we were a kid or in my case, like later in life, oh my God, like I get to do this thing and I love doing this thing and I'm getting really good at doing this thing and now I'm making money doing this thing and like, it becomes your whole world. And that sort of the passion and like motivation we feel to create and put it out into the world is really powerful and it's amazing. But creativity requires energy. And if you are constantly pouring yourself into whatever your, creative thing is, you'll burn out. and it's important to have other things besides your creative practice, both so that your creativity has time to like ferment and so that you can refuel. Also understand that like your art is not everything, like there's so many other things in life. And that's something I wish I knew earlier on. We live in a world where, especially now, that we're just constantly being consciously and unconsciously given messages that we need to conform. I know that when I was, first immersed into the world of art, I started seeing everything differently. Think about like there's a million ways to draw a sun. So something as simple as like understanding that there are just infinite different ways to see the world. And at least as an artist, like I feel like my work connects me to other people. And I never would have thought, before I had ever made art that was vulnerable or that like took a stand on something, that sharing it would actually create such connection. A lot of times we go through life thinking that like we're the only person in the world who is feeling a particular way or worried about a particular thing or struggles with a particular, demon. And I might have just been scared to do it because I thought no one's going to relate to this or people are going to disagree. And the opposite happened. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that art is so important, right? We get all of these messages around, this is the right way to do this, or this is how, you should show up or exist in the world. And art reminds us that there are infinite ways to be a human being.
My name is Sheila Dunn, and I'm an oil painter based in Bend, Oregon, and we're out in my studio in Tumalo, where I share a space with my husband, Joel. This studio in Tumalo is called Sound and Color Studio, and it's because I'm a painter, color part, and my husband's a musician. And so it's a multi-use space, but Joel helps me with my business almost full time. I think it's people at times like have this vision, like this romantic vision of what it is to be an artist, and it's amazing, but there's a lot of admin work as a creative. It's not just being in front of your easel all day. I look back on when I was doing this all alone, I'm like, it's been incredible to have that help. I would say I was always since I was little, drawn to the art in general. I loved to dance. I was always drawing, painting. And in high school, I just had some incredible visual art teachers. And so that kind of steered me in the visual art direction. When I chose art, I had some pushback from people. They're like, what are you doing? You have more potential. A woman reached out to me. She had lost her partner very traumatically. He was really young. And she was just, obviously in a really dark spot. And she found one of my figure pieces. I didn't know her. And she wrote this piece. It was so beautiful. And she's like, that piece of art carried me through that time. And ironically, I painted that during a really hard time in my life where I couldn't find a way to move forward except through painting. So she said she carried this painting with her. She was living in her van at the time. And she said it was the one thing that helped her not make sense of it, but just bring a little bit of peace and the recognition of the human experience, and that she wasn't totally alone in those feelings. And I don't always get that, feedback from my painting, but when I do, it's just it's the most meaningful thing in the world. painting's like anything. Like there's gonna be days where you feel motivated, days when you don't, and the days when it's just like, it's work. There's a quote that's like 80% of success in life is just showing up. So it's just like literally showing up in front of your canvas. Sometimes I'll start painting and I'm like, God, it's just not happening today. And occasionally I'll actually just have to stop painting. But then sometimes I'll like tap in to a painting. I've done like a couple pieces where I finished it in one night, which is very unusual for me. I'm usually working on a piece for weeks. And so I think it's just probably like any creative process, it's just like riding the wave and it's always changing. But when I do tap into that, it's like the best feeling in the world. So I started to develop my style in college. I watched this documentary that was really popular at the time called What the Bleep Do We Know? And it was about quantum physics, which I don't pretend to know, but about. In it, they talked about how when energy is broken down to like the most nanoparticle level, we're not separate from our environment. And that like fascinated me so much. And so I tried to represent that in my paintings where I was like, I want little pieces of color is almost like little pieces of energy broken down and really like individualized kind of geometric brushstrokes. And then I wanted parts of like the figure to extend out to the environment. Kind of going back to that resistance sometimes you're met with, especially as a young artist, is what you're doing meaningful, is what you're doing significant. People say art is a luxury until we're at these like inflection points as humans where you have your heart broken, like someone you love passes away and you don't know like, how am I gonna get through this, or how do I find like the language for this or the words? And I think sometimes when you can't, it's like you reach towards poetry or a painting or music to kind of carry you through that. And it's at those times where it's like hard to find, I don't know, a way forward. It becomes really clear that it's like art is sustaining. I'm gonna paint no matter what, but having those human connections and getting that feedback that I have helped like ease someone's journey a little bit, or that I have brought a loved one's like spirit back into a space with the painting or something, it's invaluable.
It's magic. Making art is magic, and I think we all need that in our lives. I'm Jessica Swift, and I'm an artist in Portland, Oregon. I am a painter. I'm a surface pattern designer, which means I design repeating patterns for things like fabric, stationery, wallpaper, bedding, that kind of stuff. I have absolutely no plan ever when I show up in front of my, at my painting table, at my sketchbook, at a canvas or whatever. What I've found for myself, and this is just what I have to trust, it always works, is to just start. I imagine that it's sort of a conversation sometimes that I'm having with whatever it is that I'm working on, and I don't actually have to think about it. I just have to listen. Like the painting will tell me or show me what the next color is that I should be using. I just really trust my intuition, I guess, that it'll show me the next right step. I think we're taught to not listen to our intuition as we grow up, which is so sad because I think it's our most important tool that everybody has, and everybody has it, right? We all have a deep, wise voice inside of us that is guiding us to our next right moves, whatever that might be, on the page, in our lives, whatever. It's not actually about what the final product looks like. It's not about the finished piece at all. It's about what I'm able to access within myself and the space that I'm able to create within myself that will sometimes lead to like really important insights that I may not have received otherwise. That's the point. I think we have everything that we need already inside of us, and that our job as artists is to do the best we can to hear and feel what wants to come through us, even if it's really different from what other people are doing. I didn't really realize that creativity and art making could be a tool for healing myself until 2018, when my husband died unexpectedly. I had an almost 3-year-old at the time, and I was pregnant with our daughter, and it was wild. It turned my world upside down and changed everything forever. And my favorite place to be was right here in my studio. I was surrounded by neighbors and family, and like I was never alone in the days and weeks after he died, which I'm so grateful for. You know, my people surrounded me, and it was amazing. I had so much help. And I'm also somebody who really loves to be alone. From time to time, I got to come up to my studio and just be up here by myself. And what I noticed was that it was helping me just untangle everything that was going on inside of me. And it was really helping me like take a deep breath in, you know, what is still to date the worst time of my whole life. That's when I started getting really intentional about using art as a tool in that way, and realizing that if it was making such a difference for me in my life, that it would probably do the same thing for other people. And obviously that's something that many people already know and already knew, but I thought, oh my gosh, if I could share this with people, that feels like a really important job. Artists are critically important to help people access parts of themselves that have been blocked off or forgotten, or so many of us are feeling so afraid these days. I think art reminds us that everything could be okay. It gives us hope. I think we're all born creative. We're all born as creators, and that gets shut down for a variety of reasons in a lot of different ways in people's lives. I believe that part of us is still alive within each of us. And the more people that remember that and access that and practice it, even if you're, you don't have to be trying to be a professional artist or anything. It's good for everybody. It literally changes our cells. Like, there is scientific research that when you spend time, not even only making art, but looking at art, like immersing yourself in a creative space, it changes your biology. It is good for your entire well-being. I mean, I think if everybody were tapping into the creative parts of themselves, I think we would be living in a really different world.
I learned how to sew when I was a kid and ended up being one of the only people I know how to sew. And I think as I got older, it became this niche skill that I didn't realize was going to be such a niche. And it kind of it became the path I ended up down. My name's Alicia Renner, and I own Howell Goods and Mud Lake Studios in Bend, Oregon. I design and make apparel and leather goods. Everything is based on using natural organic fibers. I moved to Bend in the fall of 2009. I got a job on Bachelor over the phone, and I was trying to move from Canada, so I was like applying at places across Canada and across the US and all this, and I didn't know anybody in Oregon and didn't even really know where the state was located in the US. But yeah, got in my car, loaded up my snowboard and my sewing machine, and came out here.
my favorite part of all is getting to walk into my studio and make something, like have an idea in my head and make it into a physical thing. That's like the most satisfying thing ever. And I think one of my like fears in life is not having time to execute all the ideas, you know? So anytime that I can come in and make something and use the inspiration to create the thing, I feel so grateful and so lucky to be able to do that. There's been a lot of experimenting and figuring out like what works and what doesn't and what I'm into, and like I always had this idea for a design that would include some sort of like super customization where I could like work with a customer and they could inform the design together. It all kind of culminated with the vest. The vest is really satisfying because each one is different and I get to like work directly with a person and they get to tell me their story. And I've made so many that are like so personal to people, and it's so cool because they'll bring in like their grandmother's fur stole and I'll like use that for the hood and the lining and stuff like that. And then that becomes like such a cool heirloom piece. And that was definitely a huge like inspiration behind making the vests, was making something that could be like handed down to your children someday, or just like something that could be like your power piece. And, you know, bringing that whole thing together is just like so fun every time. I feel like there's two different kinds of artists. There's the ones who just, you know, wait for inspiration to hit them. And then there's the ones who are like just motivated and like making, you know. I would recommend being the one who just goes and makes, because you'll make mistakes and you'll learn things and you'll try new things. And the whole time you're just getting better and better and better at your skill. So even if you're, you know, not finding what your vibe is or whatever, you're experimenting with different themes, like keep going, because eventually you will land on some detail or like some aspect of your work that you're like, oh, I love doing this. Once you figure out what your box is, what your personal box to work within is, then that's when you've figured out what your like niche theme is and what inspires you. I think it's hard because a lot of people jump in and it's like the world is your oyster and like just try anything and like here's all the materials you ever need and like let's go. But working within that box, that's where creativity comes from, you know? And once you figure out what your like ingredients are, then that's when you start to hone in on what your vibe is. And so just keep going.
I think it's like a direct act of resistance as an artist when you make time for yourself, a safe space to work on your own art, to experiment without the pressure to share it with the world. You need time for your art to be yours. My name is MaryLea Harris. I am an artist living and working here in Bend, Oregon in my home studio. I am an abstract expressionist painter. I work with really bright colors. I like lots of layers in my work. I'll move plaster and paint and ink around and get this really good texture going. My creative process is not just in the studio. There's a gathering phase where I'm collecting ideas, I'm collecting input, I'm noodling, I'm processing, and that can be done in the shower, it's done driving. You're kind of pulling ideas together, and then time has to be made to come into the studio to do some experimenting. You've got to come in and be vulnerable, be willing to take some risks, be willing to make the crappy first drafts. But then there's this like alchemy, magic, aha, where the flow hits. That's the best place. That's when my brain is turned off. I'm not thinking about the chatter and the noise of the outside world. I am here. It can be hours and it'll feel like it was 5 minutes. I'm like, where did the time go? I think you get a lot of FOMO as an artist, where you're like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not keeping up, I should be, and the should will kill your creative process so fast. I think I spent a lot of my 20s and 30s being afraid. I was worried that I wasn't keeping up with my peers. I was worried that I was doing motherhood wrong. I was worried that I was making my art wrong. As I've gotten older, 30s, 40s, now 50s, there's this shift of like, no, I'm right where I was supposed to be. I've had it inside of me. I've known the truth all along, and I just have to listen to that voice. We're seeing a trend right now, especially with social media and the constant news cycle and bombardment of everything. We're all so tired. It's like how they want to beat us down, right? If we're tired enough, we'll quit fighting. I think we're all feeling very disconnected. The human experience is about connection. The human experience is about creativity. The human experience is about making things with your hands again, whether you're going into the kitchen and making soup or a loaf of bread, or you're planting things in the dirt in your yard and getting your hands in the dirt again. Like, we need that more than ever right now. And for me, that's pushing paint around. Even though my art is really happy to most people when they look at all the colors and textures, there's a huge secret layer of grief in most of my work. I have experienced multiple losses of 3 of my dearest friends and a couple grandmas. It was a really rough patch for me, and going back into the studio and making art again helped me express a lot of feelings I was trying to process, instead of focusing so much on the sad parts of the end of their lives, to remember the good parts and to bring back the funny stories and their laughter and the really best parts of our relationships and honor that. But grief is weird because it just sneaks up on you sometimes, and it'll show up in a really random lyric in a song or a movie or a book or whatever, and then you're just like, gotta take a second and process. But that's also something that almost all of us are struggling with, and if we're not, then we're going to be, right? It's a universal thing for all human experiences to have grief. It's a weird dichotomy in my own work that you'd have no idea looking at it. And a lot of the time we have no idea what someone else's experience is or what they're working through on the inside. Art is something that can reconnect us. Art is something that's universal. It has really amazing messages. It's inclusive. You have no idea when you put something out there how that's going to influence someone else. We need to make that art and share it with the world.
I look for light in everything. I think it's just the way I see the world. I've always loved the way light moves and the movement and the way it hits things, as well as the way water moves. I look for light in people and connection. I love hearing people's stories and storytelling, and I think that clay is a perfect medium to really tell your stories and express yourself and express your emotions. It's amazing to let your emotions and ideas flow through your body, through your hands and with the clay, and then using the movement of the wheel and just how it can change shape. Because sometimes I might have a hard time expressing myself with words. Being able to do that with pottery is just an instant connection to what is just flowing through me and calming me down and bringing me balance. I am the artist and owner of La Leche Pottery Studio here in beautiful Bend, Oregon, and I create one-of-a-kind pieces, commission artwork, as well as I teach private pottery lessons with hand building and wheel throwing, as well as small workshops in my home studio. Even as a young kid, I just loved playing with rocks, and I was always in the mud. I just loved the textures in my hands. In college, I got into pottery, and so I took a course and just kind of got back to my childlike state of playing with mud and rocks and just really getting immersed. And I just love the feeling of having the clay in my hands and feeling the balance and the calm of working with it. I love seeing where it can take me and just being open to the discovery and adventure of creation. Most of the time I'll come into the studio and I'll usually sit down, just kind of take a little bit of time when it's nice and quiet, just kind of think of what I might want to create that day. I might sketch a little bit in my notebook, some ideas, or sometimes I'll just grab some clay and just sit on the wheel and just start making something to just get me inspired for what else I want to make throughout the day. Being a mom has very much influenced my creative journey and my experience with art. My son has had Lyme disease since he was very young, and it has been a very difficult journey for most of his life. He's taught me so much about strength, gratitude, and also surrender. And that has been a journey of a lot of emotions in myself as a mother, to work through grief, as well as guilt, as well as helplessness at times with not being able to help my son through a lot of his journey, because Lyme disease is really a very tricky disease to work through. So the way pottery has helped me with that is it's my therapy. It really truly is. It is my way to express my emotions with what I go through daily. It helps me just feel more balanced and centered in my meditation. It's my way of release and letting go. And it helps me tell my stories the way I need to tell them. Art, to me, is just so important for the soul. I really truly feel that everyone is an artist because everyone moves through life differently. And that in itself is art. It's the way you move through every day, the way you see things, the way you express yourself, the way you connect with people, the way you cook. You know, it doesn't have to be a classical art per se, but it's just the way you experience life and express yourself. If all of us just really took a step back and took a breath, we just realized that art is life and it's in every single day with everything we do. And so I think it's just important to just tell your stories. No matter how messy they are or wonderful and happy and joyous they are, just tell them and then let yourself express who you truly are through your work in an artistic form or just with who you are.
It's wild to think that during the filming of this production, I was completely unaware of my diagnosis. I have inoperable brain cancer, so it's pretty serious. Everyone goes through really hard things, and this has definitely taken the cake. I feel really glad that I followed the dream of being a creator from a young age. I mean, I really never quite gave up on it, and I'm so glad because now there's, I don't know, like I feel like in a way I left a mark. I know this is like a sad thing to talk about, but the biggest gift to me would be if after watching this episode and after watching this series, you might walk away from this being inspired to make your own art in some way, or take on a hobby you've never felt like you were like good enough at, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be necessarily like painting, but just whatever gives shape to what's inside of you, waiting to be expressed. My art feels like a love letter from me to the world, and it means everything to know it will keep living on, touching lives, that I didn't wait. I don't want you to wait either, so just go for it. Leave your love letter. There's hard stuff going on right now, and so I'm just trying to create little spaces that make people feel connected to ourselves or with the ones we love. My name's Megan Myers, and I'm a painter, and I live in Bend, Oregon. I create a lot of very whimsical acrylic on canvas paintings of children and animals connecting to each other in the outdoors. So we're sitting in my little studio space right now in the workhouse in Bend. There are several other artists that work inside of the workhouse as well. We all do something different. So we've got jewelry being made, and we have like printmaking happening. And so there's a lot of other people that work here, and it's been really inspiring. I think a lot of people see my artwork and think I'm doing children's, like art for children specifically, but I don't have children. It's mostly for the child within all of us, to sort of reconnect with that and have that sense of awe and wonder and wistfulness and like nostalgia for what we've experienced and the awe we've all experienced as we've grown older and seen, different landscapes and connected to different people in different ways. If I can bring that about with like colors and shapes and characters for people to help them find their place in the world or in nature, that would be like the biggest goal of mine for my artwork. I've been really touched by art in my whole life. I mean, it started when I was a kid and I was reading picture books. And I can still remember like most of that imagery from the ones I read when I was young and the ones that really touched me. In my high school years, I was really influenced by The Little Prince. That was a book that if you read as a kid, it was like a little adventure story. But when you read as an adult, you're like, oh my God, this is about love and about friendship and about who we are in the world and who we connect with. And I wanted to have that in my paintings too. Like my imagery is really simple, which I think makes it approachable. But I do hope that once you're like really deeply looking at it, something like hits a little more poignantly for you. Each work I create usually is a human and an animal at least, and each of them are in the middle of a moment that you don't know what was going on before or after, and I'm inviting the audience to look in and project their experience, like what the moment you're looking at means to you. Mostly I'm analog, so I really do enjoy painting the most, like old school. But as technology advanced and more tools were offered, Procreate's the program I use for most of my illustration work because it's a tool that allows me to like be able to make changes and correct things really easily if I'm working for a client. But now I also use it kind of as a sketchbook too, and then those drawings often will be sort of the blueprint for the paintings. And once that was sort of like in the world, it really made things a lot simpler for the way I like to design. Before this, I
became a sign artist for Trader Joe's. I would sit in the back of Trader Joe's and make signs and artwork and murals and all sorts of things for like 7 hours a day. And I always kind of like look back on that as like grad school. I was able to find my style and get a lot of practice in, but also have the sort of work schedule where I could like build my business like at night when I got home or whatever. I feel really lucky that I've been able to do this professionally for so long. And that's mostly, I think, due to the support of my community here. One of the things that has been most important to me is to champion other people, whether they're like further along than I am or whether they're like a step behind me. I think being open and sharing information is like really helpful, and it's not just helpful to those people or to you, it's helpful to the industry because there's so much variation in the way people run the show. I just like to think of it as being like way bigger than myself. Even when I've gone through like some pretty hard times, if I can just get back to like sitting at my easel and painting, everything goes quiet. And then when other people, especially when other people see what I'm doing, like some people are just like, oh, that's cute. And that's fine. And that's still great. But some people, you know, when someone really gets what you were trying to say or trying to do. And that's where you really feel like you've succeeded. And I feel like I meet people like that all the time. And I don't know, I feel like that's the success story. It's not money.